everybody, my name is Mrs. Koontz and I'm a second grade teacher, but I'm also a children's book author. I wrote a book called Scooter and the Muttering Monster. My friend, Mrs. Swen, teaches third grade and she is the illustrator, so she painted all the pictures in this book. This is Scooter, this is the Muttering Monster, and this book is about overcoming negative thoughts. So before I start reading, I'm kind of curious, have you ever had negative thoughts? Do you even know what negative thoughts are? A negative thought is anything you're thinking that makes you feel sad, nervous, really angry, maybe something you think over and over. Here's the crazy thing about negative thoughts. Sometimes they're not even true. Like it might be something that you think could happen, but it hasn't happened yet, or you're real mad at somebody and you're kind of thinking something that's not true about them when it didn't even really happen. Negative thoughts can be wild. So I know I've had negative thoughts before, maybe you have too. If you have, this book is for you. Let's see how Scooter deals with his negative thoughts in the story. And when it's over, maybe you can find out if you can deal with your negative thoughts in the same way. Sunlight peeked through Scooter's curtains just as his alarm went off with a clang. He opened one eye a pinch and then bounded out of bed. It was the big day. Scooter's chance to try out for the Hoppers. Only the elite jumpers made the team, and Scooter wanted to be on the team more than anything. Scooter skidded down the stairs ready to dig into breakfast. His mother smiled. "Are you excited for today's trials, Scooter? Remember, just do your best." Scooter downed the last gulp of carrot juice and hollered, "Thanks, Mama," over his shoulder, and then hopped out the door. Boing, boing went Scooter's legs as he hurried along the path to the Hoppers field. Have you ever done something like that? Like a new team, or you're going to start new lessons or a new class at school, and you just feel like all pumped up about it? Me too. Uh-oh, here we go. Suddenly, Scooter heard a scratchy little voice. "You probably won't make the team," it muttered. Scooter twirled and saw a tiny monster behind him. "What did you say?" Scooter asked. "I said, you probably won't make the team. The other rabbits are better jumpers than you," muttered the monster. Scooter hesitated. "That may be true," he said bravely, "but Mama told me just to do my best." The monster chuckled and shrugged its little shoulders. Scooter turned away and continued bouncing down the trail. Now watch this. Look at the monster. Oh dear. What happened to him? A few minutes later, Scooter heard the scratchy voice again. This time it was louder than before. "When you get to tryouts, you're probably not going to know what to do." Scooter spun and saw the monster standing there on the path. Scooter thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. The monster puffed its chest and said, "Most of these bunnies have been training for years, and they have an older brother or sister on the Hoppers team. They know what they're doing, and you don't." Scooter frowned and furrowed his brow. He felt as if he'd swallowed a glob of jelly. "I just started practicing last week. I don't have anyone older who can show me how to do it. The other rabbits probably are better than me." The monster nodded in agreement. Oh dear. Watch this. "And kid, you know what's worse than that? You might break a rule, and then the Hoppers coach is going to yell at you. I hear that coach is mean." Scooter blinked his eyes once, twice, 3 times. He squeezed his eyes shut and shook his furry head. Now what's happening to the monster as they talk? And what's happening to Scooter the longer that they talk? Scooter opened his eyes again and continued on, but this time it was at a snail's pace. There was no pop in his hop. "I hate it when people yell at me," Scooter said anxiously. He threw his hands in the air and plopped down onto a log. "If I get out there and make a mistake, I will be so embarrassed. I don't even know anyone else that's trying out for the team. What if the other rabbits think I'm weird?" The monster grinned. "You probably would look silly in one of those orange uniforms. Orange just isn't your color," the monster muttered matter-of-factly. "Yeah, I guess so," said Scooter, his ears drooping. Scooter and the monster continued along the path to the Hopper's practice field, muttering about every bad thing that might happen. Have you ever done that? None of these things have even happened yet, and he's just like thinking what might happen. With each step, Scooter became more anxious. He nervously twitched his nose and wrung his little rabbit paws. The monster, however, walked with a confident swagger, and by the time they reached the field, Scooter couldn't even think straight. The more he thought about it, the more nervous he became. Okay, so I'm going to read these adjectives around Scooter's head, and you nod at me if you have ever felt like this. Small, stupid, nervous, timid, that means like shy, worried, embarrassed, weird, silly, anxious, self-conscious. That means you're really worried about what other people are thinking about you. I have felt like that before. Man, Scooter has a big problem. I hope he can solve it. Fretfully, Scooter dragged himself onto the field. A little bunny zipped up beside him with a carrot in its mouth. "Hey there," he blurted. "I'm Eddie." "Hi," Scooter mumbled. "I'm Scooter." "I can't wait for tryouts," Eddie said excitedly. "I didn't make the team last year, so I'm going to try again. Are you trying out for the Hoppers today?" "Well, I was planning to when I left home, but now I'm not so sure," Scooter muttered, turning to go. Eddie took one bunny hop to block his path. "You look a little green around the whiskers, Scooter," Eddie said, munching on his carrot. Scooter hesitated while Eddie squinted and took a careful look around. Can you do that with me? Let's take a careful look around and then go, When Eddie spotted the monster lurking in the distance, he nodded knowingly and said, "Is that yours?" "What?" said Scooter. "That muttering monster under the tree. Is that yours?" "Let me guess. The furry little thing met you on your way here? Reminded you of all the bad stuff that could happen and got bigger the more you two talked? That's a muttering monster, and now it's so big you probably can't even think straight," Eddie declared. "Muttering monster? Now that I think of it, you're right. That's exactly what happened," said Scooter. Eddie's two front teeth snapped through his carrot. "You gotta starve those things or they'll drive you nuts." "Starve? That sounds mean," Scooter yelped. "Trust me, I've dealt with these before. Starving is not mean when you're dealing with a muttering monster. Instead of feeding it negative thoughts, you starve it with positive thoughts. That's the only way to get your body and brain back to normal." "What's the first thing it said to you?" asked Eddie. Don't feed it with negative thoughts. Starve it with positive ones. Well, first it told me that I probably wouldn't make the team. I said it'd be okay as long as I tried my best. Eddie's teeth worked on his carrot. Can you do that? "That's a good start," said Eddie. "What came next?" Next it said that I probably wouldn't be as good as the other rabbits. I don't have an older brother or sister to coach me," Scooter said, getting worked up again. "Stop right there," said Eddie. "When you went along with those negative thoughts, you were feeding the monster. Is it true that every rabbit will be better than you? Is it really true that they all have brothers and sisters that have been teaching them?" Scooter's whiskers twitched. "Well, no," he said. "I'm a pretty good jumper, so I'll be better than some rabbits, and some rabbits will be better than me." Scooter brightened at the thought. "And I bet there are some bunnies like me who haven't had much practice." Eddie leaned closer to Scooter. "Take a look at that muttering monster now," he whispered. Let's make a prediction. What do you think the muttering monster looks like now that he's not feeding it negative thoughts, he's starving it with positive ones? Was your guess right? Did you get it? Scooter's big eyes looked at the monster still lounging under the tree. Could it be the monster looked smaller? Scooter's mind was beginning to clear. "Let's do some more," Scooter said, his rabbit legs bouncing. "Okay, what's the next thing you talked about?" said Eddie. "Well, we talked about the coach. The monster said he was mean and would yell at me if I made a mistake." Eddie flinched as he snapped another piece of carrot in two. "Yikes. Think carefully. Is that true?" "Well, I've never met the Hoppers coach, so I'm not sure," said Scooter. "Kids seem to enjoy being on the team, and sometimes coaches yell when they get excited, but they're not usually saying mean things. Maybe the coach will be extra patient with new jumpers." As soon as Scooter finished talking, he looked at the monster again. It was even smaller than before. Scooter also noticed that his heart wasn't racing anymore. It was working. It's time to finish the job, Eddie said with authority. You've got to do this on your own. Instead of feeding the monster negative thoughts, starve it by telling yourself what's really true. And remember, keep it positive. Scooter took a deep breath and said, take a deep breath with me. The last thing we talked about was how weird I would look in the Hopper's uniform because orange isn't my color. Well, Scooter paused and squeezed his eyes shut. You do that too. Mustering all of his positive thought strength, he stood tall and said in his most confident voice, actually, I like the color orange, and friends say my orange bandana looks great. Scooter was so excited that his foot started thumping. Now let's try this again. I'm going to read these adjectives that Scooter's feeling right now. Give me a nod if you have felt brave, intelligent, valuable, because you are, calm, strong, self-controlled, unique. That means there's only one you. Capable means you can do it. Open-minded, wise, I love this one, bold. Both bunnies turned towards the trees. Instead of a big, happy, muttering monster, all they saw was a tiny puff of smoke. The rabbits danced around happily. We did it! We did it! Scooter cried. Actually, Scooter, you did it, said Eddie. Remember, the next time a muttering monster pops up, don't feed it, starve it. Now, are you ready for tryouts? Scooter gazed out across the Hoppers field. Yeah, I'm ready. And he was. Now, as I flip to the back of this book, I'm like, oh man, there's neat stuff in here. There's a place where you can draw your own muttering monster. Now, so let's think about that. If you put it in those words, have you ever faced a muttering monster? Something that was kind of coming up in your head and you were thinking, I don't even think that's true. Or you kept thinking it over and over, kind of gave you a bad attitude. So Eddie taught Scooter, what do? Don't feed it negative thoughts. You starve it with positive ones. Remember to tell yourself what's true and keep it positive. So I hope you liked this book. We're going to be doing some fun activities with Scooter and the Muttering Monster, and they're going to be popping up on YouTube soon. So check out my website, www.carriekoontz.org, carriekoontz.com. And I have a blog for teachers and adults, and there's fun stuff that goes with the book that's on there too. So remember, keep it positive.